Oh, here we have another week. We are now entering our first weekend of June. As we said last week, it is now June 2nd already. Hard to believe. I do not know where May went. It's gone. May was outstanding, though. I had one of my most memorable Mays in terms of fishing. It had to do with panfish right away at the beginning. The crappie bite was phenomenal. The walleye bite was phenomenal. I caught more walleyes in this May in the metro than I have in a long time. Starting to crack that code. You probably are sick and tired of me talking about walleyes on my Facebook and Instagram and TikTok feed. But I'll tell you what, you take advantage of what's going on. It was kind of a lot of fun. I started to dial in the bite. I will admit, got humbled today. Guided on Minnetonka today, Sunday. Boom, that's how many walleyes we caught today. Yesterday, different story. Thursday, Friday, different story. Tuesday, off the chart. Today, nothing. We started the day today, Sunday, with clear skies, no wind. Don't know how to act in those situations. We have not had a dead calm day, I feel like, at all this entire year. It is whipping out there right now, but it is in the afternoon. We're looking at a decent wind. The trees are blowing. I felt it when I left the lake today. We were on Tonka until about noon today. Bass bite, stellar. Walleye bite, not so much. Water temps are teetering into the upper 60s. Curly leaf pondweed is at an all-time high. I feel like it's matted up. It's all over the place. It's thick. We didn't have the ice cover this winter. We didn't have the snow cover. We had the light penetration. We had an early open water season. A lot of rain, yada, yada, yada. I keep going down the list of why the pondweed is what it is. It's everywhere. You got to get used to fishing in the weeds if you're going to fish in the Twin Cities area. In fact, anywhere in probably central Minnesota, you have to get used to fishing in grass, in weeds, in cover. That's just the nature of the beast. Even with our walleye stuff, we have to fish in the weeds. So this week, man, we threw the gamut at them. We started the week Monday, Memorial Day. We were at the cabin, caught a whole bunch of fish, did well. It rained, if I remember right. A little bit of walleyes, a little bit of bass. Similar pattern to what I talked about last Sunday. I'm not going to beat that dead horse. Came back to the Twin Cities Tuesday. We had the first Denny's on Minnetonka. Chased walleyes all day. On Tuesday, did exceptionally well throwing the Scope TG swim bait setup. You've seen me talk about that on social media. 3/16 ounce silverhead Scope TG paired with the plastic minnow. Natural color presentations. Shiner, bluegilly looking, small crappie looking, that kind of stuff. Caught a lot of fish. I'm doing a hybrid retrieve, and what does that mean? People are asking me, what does that mean? I pitch it to where I want to pitch it. Instead of your classic slow roll swim bait retrieve, I'm using a spinning setup. I do kind of a drag, swim, hop, drag, swim, hop, and I'm getting that minnow to kind of look like it's doing this versus just a steady retrieve back to the boat. And they eat it well. It's a thud hook set. I'm using 8 or 10 pound braided 832 strand main line. It's braid, no stretch, and I'm doing a fluorocarbon leader on there. That seems to be the best of both worlds. It gives me that confidence on the receiving end by the jig with the fluorocarbon, and then it gives me that strength, stability, lack of stretch, sensitivity on the main line of that braid 1-2 punch. We also caught a pile of fish on a bobber setup. I've kind of wanted to show you what we're doing here with this bobber setup. A lot of you have seen people do this. It's sharpshooting, it's power corking, it's whatever you want to call it. You got your egg style bobber on there. I got my slip knot 6-7 feet up. I got my cylinder weight. This happens to be a 1/4 ounce setup, cylinder weight, main line. You might see a theme, main line braid, swivel, fluorocarbon leader down to your favorite hook. I've been using a drop TG, 16th ounce. You can use an 1/8 ounce. You can use a variety of different other hooks, but that's the setup. Bobber, jig. I'm not using a plain hook as much, although Drew crushed them on the plain hook on Tuesday. You can see I got about a 2-foot lead on there. And the nice thing about this slightly weighted bobber, cylinder weight, jig is I'm very quick and effective. So if I'm in the front of the boat, sharpshooting, looking for fish on forward-facing sonar on my active target, and I see a fish, I can cast at this really quick, and this is going straight down to the fish. And then I'm tipping this with a leash. You can use gulp alive, plastic, something like that, something to trigger them to do it, but I'm using a leash. That seems to be the most effective. Bigger leeches, the better, because then the bluegills don't really take them down. You're namely going to catch walleyes, hopefully. Obviously, you can't stop the bass and pike from biting, and away we go. And the setup I'm using for a rod, I'm using a St. Croix Avid 7.3 medium action, fast tip. I like that. Everyone's got their personal preference. I like these oversized guides, these wire guides, because the slip knot flies through there a little easier when I'm casting. And I'm putting a 2500 series Mirrorville from Shimano on there. Again, mainline. I got 8-pound Suffix 832. I got I'm actually running a 10-pound fluorocarbon leader on this, a little heavier, a little beefier. I'm only running a 2-foot section, a little more abrasion resistance. That's my power sniping cork rod, or whatever you want to call it. Love it, works well, exceptionally well on catching fish. And when you see that bobber kind of pop, the walleyes are fickle when they bite. Bluegills, you've seen it. A walleye bite is a solid thud, and then the thing drops just a handful of inches and kind of stalls out and wants to move on you. So when you see that bobber go, and then just slowly go like this, and then start to slide, that's a walleye. And the nice thing about this with that braided line is I reel up till I feel a little bit of weight, and I set the hook just like I'm pitching a jig or a Ned rig or anything like that. It's not as much of a, sweeping motion like you might have done with slip bobbers of the past. I reel up till I feel a little bit of weight, and I give it to them, and away we go. So that's my power fishing setup. Bass, we targeted a lot of bass this week. We did exceptionally well on the bass fishing, especially the last couple days. We caught them 3 main ways. We caught them, well, I should say 4 or 5. We'll talk about 3 main ways. We caught them on topwater, buzzbait, frog, working well in that pondweed. We caught them, believe it or not, Ned rig, quite a few fish in the Ned rig, and we caught them very well on a wacky rig Kamita. Wacky rig Senko, wacky rig setup, caught a pile of fish in that 5 to 10 foot range. A lot of the fish are off their beds. They pulled off the bank. You can see the beds. They're not there. They're in that 5, 8, 9 foot range. What I look for in a variance of weeds, the pondweed, like I said, is heavy, especially on Lake Minnetonka. I'm looking for cabbage. I'm looking for something different than that pondweed. I have noticed that some of the bass are relating to the bluegill beds. The bluegills are spawning on a lot of our metro area lakes. That is a distinct pattern right now. And here's the thing that we noticed was vitally important with these. You pitch your wacky rig up into these areas and you do nothing. The guy that literally pretty much dead stick his presentation outfished everyone else in the boat, hands down, if the guy or gal was trying to work the bait a little bit. Even a little bit. It was a pitch, feed it, nothing. Rod tip down, nothing. Outproduced everything, bar none. We did catch some fish on Ned rigs, on weed lines, 8, 10, 12, 14 feet of water. Seemed to be smaller fish, not your bigger ones. Same thing with top waters, buzzbaits, frogs, caught some fish on that. I didn't have a lot of success on bigger ones. The bigger fish, the big bite, at least for us right now, was on that wacky rig, dead sticked, post-spawn pattern. Let it marinate, trust the process, and let those fish come over and take it. That's where all of our bigger fish from 3.5, 4.5, even some fish approaching 5 pounds this weekend were caught doing the wacky rig setup. So, did not fish any muskies. It was the Minnesota Muskie opener yesterday. I've seen a lot of boats on the water, plenty of them on Minnetonka chasing muskies. Hopefully some of you caught some fish, saw some fish, had a good time. That's wonderful. It's great to see all the muskie anglers. I feel like we're seeing a little bit of resurgence on Metro muskie anglers back out there. Hopefully the bite's good. Hopefully you're engaged and seeing some action. Did stop into Thorne Brothers yesterday afternoon, chatted with those fine folks. The muskie heads were in there, talking, getting baits, answering questions, all that good stuff. Super exciting. So what are we gonna do this week? We got a busy week. It looks like conditions are gonna be stable. Looks like we're gonna have maybe some 80-degree weather. We're probably gonna get some more rain. I'm gonna go on a whim and guess we're gonna probably have some wind. No doubt about it. I'm gonna try to catch some more walleyes. I'm gonna try to do the whole bobber rig setup again and see if I can get some fish to go on leeches. I got a handful of fun clients in the boat coming through the rest of the week. Hopefully we get some fish to go. Otherwise, it's probably going to be bass mode or bluegills. We did chase bluegills as well. I forgot to mention that. Bluegills are bedding up. You already saw a video I talked about. Catch and release, let them go, let them grow. Vitally important to the success of our bluegill fisheries. Our DNR is doing a great job of trying to 5 fish and 10 fish some of these lakes. If they're doing that, please respect it. Not trying to get soapbox preachy on you, but just respect it, let the big bluegills go, and we'll have better bluegill fishing in the future. So bluegills are spawning, a lot of good things going on right now. This is a great time of year to get out and go fishing. So get out there, have some fun, be safe, set some hooks, practice proper respect and etiquette on the water. I'm seeing some people out there chirping at each other, even at the boat launches. Just let it go. Maybe lend a hand instead of being the problem, and everyone gets out there and enjoys their time on the water. So good luck out there, set some hooks for me, and be safe, everyone.